Obama administration is reportedly, listen to this one, considering plans to place what sounds like government monitors in newsrooms all across the country. Shannon Bream is live for us from Washington with this very interesting proposal. Shannon, what's this all about?
Well, Heather, the FCC is going to send representatives into TV and radio stations in various markets and ask them all kinds of questions about the stories they do, things like how they decide their topics, who they select to interview, and how much time is spent on specific topics from the environment to economic opportunities. The stated purpose of the goal of the study is this, quote, to ascertain the process by which stories are selected, station priorities for content, production, quality, and populations served.
Lie.
Station bias, perceived percent of news dedicated to each of the 8 sins. Those are the topics that the FCC thinks that you should focus on. And perceived responsiveness to underserved populations. Well, news of this study was enough to raise alarm for a number of GOP House members, so much so they sent a letter to the chairman of the FCC saying the project showed a, quote, startling disregard for the bedrock constitutional principles that prevent government intrusion into the press. Important to know that the FCC is the same agency that controls the licenses of the stations that they'll be studying. Well, here's what former FCC Commissioner Robert McDowell told me about that situation.
So the big question is, what's the quid pro quo? How much government coercion might there be with all of this? Is the government
probably none.
Ultimately dictate speech and dictate how journalists are supposed to do their jobs? And it doesn't matter what your political stripe might be, that's just not a good idea, especially when you have such a competitive communications landscape.
We're told that funding for this study has yet to be approved. Still got to get through a couple more hoops. There are those who now think, with all the negative attention this study is getting, now that it's getting, into the public consciousness, well, it may actually put the funding at risk, so the project may never actually happen. Heather?
Interesting.
They'll find some way to get around it.
What reaction are you getting from media down there, Shannon?
Well, it's interesting. I just got a statement from the Radio Television Digital News Association, basically the umbrella group that represents those of us who work in electronic media, and they had to say this. They say it's ill-conceived. They have a lot of skepticism about it, and they said whatever the motives are, even the concept of a study like this is enough to chill every journalist and every station which prides itself on journalistic independence. And they say, why
both of them?
The same one that's going to approve or disapprove my license continuing, why do they need to ask me questions like, well, why'd you interview that person and what is your news philosophy? There is a lot of pushback coming out today.
Boy,
Heather.
And chill is the appropriate word for that. Shannon Bream in Washington following that story for us.